The Marvels is finally out, despite being delayed many times. Here are my thoughts on the film, spoilers ahead, and so let's get into it. Now, this film gets unnecessary hate. Like, it's understandable, all the women-centric projects so far in the MCU weren't that great, but I personally did like Miss Marvel, so this felt like a continuation of that story, and I enjoyed this. Now, would I say this is the best film so far in post-Endgame? No, because obviously there's films like No Way Home, and even shows like Loki and WandaVision that hold their place in the pedestal, so it's not the best. However, it's also not the worst. Like, I thought that She-Hulk and Secret Invasion and even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania were one of the weakest projects so far, and it's not that bad. Like, the CGI in this isn't as good, but at the same time it's also not terrible. Like, it's similar to how the CGI was in Captain Marvel 1, which I personally also enjoyed watching. The best part of this film is Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan. Every scene she's in is always funny, energetic. She brings this new energy to the MCU that we need, and the whole dynamic between the three Marvels is fun to see. I wish the strikes weren't happening so we could have seen interviews of them promoting the film and got a lot more of this three dynamic, but obviously the strikes were fair, so it's understandable. Now, the villain is probably one of the most forgettable villains in the MCU so far, and the MCU was going strong with villains. However, she sort of feels a lot like the Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp in the sense that the threat that she's trying to ensue upon us, the threat that she's trying to make the audience feel and the heroes feel, doesn't actually feel that like threatening, because the heroes don't actually lose anything if it happened, because they could just simply relocate to another planet. Or however, in other films when the stakes are higher, it sort of hits harder, because when the whole universe is in threat, it's much more dangerous. Now, Marvel sort of messed up by releasing this with Loki season 2's finale on the same day, because fans going in after watching one or the other realized that Loki season 2 is far superior than this, and is often overshadowed in their thoughts of the film, because they're expecting some emotional, mind-bending finale like in Loki season 2, when in fact it's a much more grounded story and just sort of builds upon the relationship between the three Marvels. And another thing is that Kamala's family is also amazing in this film. Their dynamic with Nick Fury is pretty good. Speaking of Nick Fury, he could have been more Nick Fury, because when we first see him towards the earlier parts of the MCU, he's much more serious. He's the serious spy that hardly cracks jokes, but when he does, it's funny. Now he's just a joke sort of thing. Like, in Far From Home, he was still that serious Nick Fury, though he had lacked the knowledge that he had before because of the blip. But after Secret Invasion, he just seems to be a joke. Speaking of Secret Invasion, we actually see Emperor Droge in this, and we should have seen him in Secret Invasion, because in the comics he's one of the main reasons it happens, and in this he's sort of there. But he is good, and it's good to see that the Skrulls are good again. But then it does raise the question of they're on Earth, and America's now at war against every single alien, so it is interesting to see. Yeah, so overall this film gets a 6 out of 10. It's pretty average, but it does set us nicely towards Deadpool 3. I've seen many people hate on the ending and the post-credit scenes, but personally I didn't mind them. Like, obviously it does seem unrealistic that Nick Fury would have told Kamala what he said to Iron Man behind closed doors 15 plus years prior, but it's fun, and that's sort of the whole point of this film, is that it's a fun adventure, and it's mainly aimed for kids, so it's enjoyable for them. Now, for you cinema fanatics who are looking for something with deeper meaning and different layers and themes within this film, there isn't any, and that's simply the point. And the post-credit scene also is pretty cool, so check out my review for that, and my Loki season 2 review should be up by now, so click that as well.